We try to, when we bring students into our program, we have a professional development seminar where we essentially look from a 60,000 foot view down onto the business of sports and say, well, what are the primary sectors you can go into? I think if you guys are fans, everyone thinks of sport. They think of player development, coaching, and scouting, being as close to the product on the field or on the pitch or on the ice as possible. And that certainly is a segment that drives thousands of jobs globally, but is a fairly small niche, really, when you look at like the overall world of sports. So I think sponsorships and brand marketing is one fairly large segment, and that means that's across, you could work at a team, you could work at an agency, you could work at a league or a startup, but like being a specialist in understanding consumer behavior and marketing within sport, and then understanding how brands want to get between sports and those fans, right? That's one large segment. We see a really pretty rich segment here in stadium, venue, and experience development. So that's just, I won't go into too much detail there, but that's sort of everything built around the hundreds of stadia that exist in the US, around everything from esports to professional soccer to the NFL. If you also look at really like when we try to place students, we do see a fairly heavy placement right now within media companies. So 20 years ago, that track within sports was maybe less developed than it is now. But if you look at a Star Sports or in the US of something like a Disney or an ESPN, they don't just have their hands in a broadcast that goes out at 7 p.m. every night. They're managing their league partners. They're managing rights and digital rights. They're creating sometimes new leagues within esports. We've seen that with media companies. So media is sort of another whole ecosystem that exists. Those are heavy placements for us. And then lastly, I'd say there's more and more jobs happening in business intelligence and analytics that are across every sector of the industry. So a market research firm, a league, a team, an agency. But being smart with some of the skills Neil just mentioned, we're seeing business analytics and operations become a primary sector. So those are a canvassing. I saw a question earlier in the chat about like, what about sport lawyers? Like there's certainly that's a niche as well, but there's certainly segments for legal specialists to enter in within sports, because everyone needs a good lawyer at the table.